Hi everyone. I hope that you can hear and see me. I've had a few technical issues with the camera, getting the camera to work. So if you can see me, please give me a thumbs up. I'll try and have a look on the Facebook page. I'm actually having to run this through Zoom onto Facebook. So there's probably a little bit of a delay between me talking and getting you and seeing your reactions, but please keep them coming and let me know that I'm not alone and that you can hear and see me. For those that don't know me, my name's Robin Vogels. I'm the owner of Personnel Relocations. I'm also the co-author of your DIY Move Guide to Australia, which is a really handy resource. It is literally myself and another relocation lady. We got together, put our heads together and answered all the questions that people are asking. So if you're looking to save money or looking to find out how to make a success of your move, that's probably the first resource. It's only $25 and probably save you a couple of thousand, even if it's just on your furniture removals, just understanding insurance and things. So sorry, that was a very long introduction. I'm Robin Vogels. I'm the owner of Personnel Relocations and the co-author of the book, Your DIY Move Guide. And I'm also partner of Immigrant Networks, which is launching in Australia in just a few months' time. Immigrant Networks will be helping people who are looking for jobs in Australia. So we'll have mentors, coaches, everybody on hand that can help you. But not only that, we also have a matchmaking that will actually match you with people in your industry. So if you're an engineer and you're trying to connect with another engineer, you'd be able to do it through the Immigrant Networks platform. In fact, the matches are done every week. You get asked if you'd like to be matched that week. If you say yes, it'll actually set up a Zoom call for you and you can chat to somebody. And feedback that we've had today, even because this has rolled out in Canada, we've already rolled Canada out. And feedback we had today in Canada was one engineer already had work, the other was looking for work. And they were able to share tips on which recruiters had been really helpful for them, and also other roles that engineer number one had already applied for or that he knew were coming up. So getting inside that job market, but also building your network, and building your network is really important when you move country. But none of that's what I'm here to talk about tonight, or today, to morning, wherever you might be. It's just after 7 p.m. in Melbourne, probably early morning in England. So hello there if there's anybody from, I was going to say sunny England, but it's probably not too sunny at the moment. I've had a few people from England arrive this week and they're absolutely melting in our 34, 36 degrees that we're having in Melbourne at the moment. So just give me 1 second. I'm just going to flick a few switches, but what I'm going to be talking about today is giving you a COVID update on how things are in Australia. There's been major changes in the rental application process, and I've literally pulled my hair out these last 2 weeks trying to help clients with their rental applications when the whole process has been turned on its head. So I'll be talking about that, of what you need to know in advance, because there's some pretty big things you need to know. And also Medicare. For those of you that are eligible for Medicare, you probably want to stay around and listen to what I've got to say about that. So let me just flick a few switches here and just get the Facebook page up so that I can see if any of you are sending me messages. And if you are, and if you're sitting somewhere in the world, please tell me where you're sitting. I love to hear where people are watching from. And if you're having a coffee or a wine, so let me know where you are. Just getting that page up. Just bear with me for 1 sec, because obviously it's a bit slower when I'm online as well. I'm not sure what was going on with my cameras. I have 2 cameras and neither of them wanted to work on Facebook tonight. So I've had to go via Zoom to get onto the Facebook Live. So you're probably seeing a little bit of a delay on me talking. But please give me a thumbs up. Tell me where you're calling from, not calling from, where you're watching from. It's always nice to hear where people are from. So for those that might have missed the intro, my name's Robin Vogels. I'm the owner of Personnel Relocations. We're a relocation company that helps people find homes, so you can move directly into a home as soon as you arrive in Australia. It eliminates the need for any Airbnb, it saves you money. work with a lot of estate agents. We work with you very closely to shortlist properties. So we're not going out and having a look at 10 or 20 properties. We're looking at a handful of properties that are actually shortlisted based on your needs. So that's what Personnel Relocations does. Let me get on to what we're doing tonight. We've got, Julia, hello. Thank you for joining me. Julia, thank you. It's nice to see you. And I know you're quite keen to hear what I've got to say tonight, because I know you want to get here. You want to get here. It's happening. It's going to happen. Nikki, hello, Nikki. That's a familiar name as well. How are you? Thank you. And from my hometown of Durban. Good to hear you. Good to hear from you. So let's start with COVID. Okay, let me start with, it's been an interesting week. I've had 12 families arrive this week. And some of those families I've been working with for 2 years, no jokes. 2 years we've been trying to get them here. And I think everybody decided this week was the week they were coming. So we've had 12 families arrive this week. So if anybody's watching here and they've been waiting for me to come back to them, and I know there's been lots of questions out there, sorry, just bear with me, but the people who have arrived just needed my immediate attention. So next week will be a little bit easier. Everybody's settled down, everybody's in their houses, they've got their furniture, they've got their grocery shops, everybody's good. A lot of the people have been saying to me that, oh, Rhiannon, is London really sunny, or are you just kidding me, Rhiannon? Sorry, I'm easily distracted tonight. Right, COVID. Rhiannon, you can probably relate to this, and I don't know what it's like in South Africa now, but I think there's probably, I wouldn't call it complacency, but you've learned to live a lot more with COVID. What you need to understand is here in Australia, we've been made very scared of COVID. We've had very strict lockdowns. We've been told, lockdown, stay out. The people here are quite scared. And as I've been welcoming all these families this week, they're quite surprised at how scared we all are. So the update I want to really give you on COVID is that people aren't realizing how everything has slowed down here because of COVID. We have to isolate for 7 days if we have it, and at one stage, even for close contacts, had to self-isolate. We've had a real shortage of both rapid testing and on-site testing. The queues were just ridiculous. From personal experience, my son had COVID on Boxing Day. Took 7 days for him to get his official results. By then he was out the door, kind of thing. So all of that has really impacted. I was at Coles this morning, 7:30 this morning, the shelves were still empty. There's no distribution happening. There's drivers that are sick. Immigration has slowed down, or the immigration work has slowed down. Everything has slowed down because there's just a lack of staff. I've been booking inspections this week and had them cancelled I don't know how many times because estate agents are short supplied, or suddenly the whole estate agency had to close down because of a case of COVID. So just bear that in mind, that things have slowed down at the moment, and I'm sure they'll get better. But that is affecting a lot of things at the moment. So if you're waiting for something, shipments are still very delayed coming to Australia. And that's not just an Australian thing, that's the shipping lines worldwide. If you are coming, bring your own rapid tests with you. No jokes, bring tests with you. It's starting to get a bit easier the last couple of days. But there was even a website that was started up to say where you could buy rapid tests, and people were getting quite aggro, as we'd say in Australia, about standing in the queue to get the rapid tests. If you're coming from overseas, you have to do tests. And if you can't get them on the ground, then you're kind of stuck. So bring tests with you. If nothing else, you'll be able to resell them here quite easily, I'm sure. To fly into Melbourne and Sydney at the moment, it's actually a very simple process. You come in on the aeroplane, you obviously follow the guidelines that are out there, speak to the airlines, speak to the border controls, make sure everything, this is changing all the time, okay? But this week, as we are now, it's pretty much flying in. You've had your test 72 hours before you depart. You fly in, you go home. You go to wherever it is that you're going to be staying. It should be self-isolation. and you do a test on day 1 and day 6. And if both tests are negative, you're a free person. So that's quite simple. Obviously, Queensland borders are still quite shut, and you have to self-isolate at home with an Australian telephone number, which can be interesting because you can't get out to the shops to get it. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But Queensland, you do still have to self-isolate for 14 days. I think that's probably all. And obviously you've seen the news on the tennis. You must be fully vaccinated. So definitely fully vaccinated. Bring tests with you. Let me just see if there's any more comments here. Anybody got any questions on that? I think we're good to go. Rhiannon hasn't actually confessed whether London is that sunny or not. That's okay, Rhiannon. Let me just refresh that and make sure I am getting up-to-date replies. Okay. Rental applications. I think I've turned grey this week on rental applications. I wish it would help me lose weight when I'm stressed, but it doesn't. Rental applications. For those of you that don't know how the rental process works here, and that's really been one of the questions I've been asked a lot the last few weeks when people are looking at using our services. If you don't understand how the rental process works here, you won't understand how our service helps. So let me just give you a quick overview of rental inspections, and this especially for people coming from the UK. I've lived in the UK, I've rented many a house in the UK, probably moved 8 times when I was in the UK. The UK is very polite. You can go and have an inspection. You can take as long as you want to have a look at the house. The estate agents will phone you back. They'll even follow up with you. You can maybe have a second look if you wanted to. That is not the case in Australia. So in Australia, it is a very hard and fast process. You have to obviously understand the local market. You have to understand and shortlist as much as you can online. And that's where we can help you, because we can look at the overall picture of what you need in your relocation. But the estate agents will advertise an open for inspection, which will be 15 minutes. And anybody who's interested in that property has 15 minutes to go and inspect the property. We went to one today, no jokes, in Seaford. There was 80 people at least. They probably needed an event organizer there. It was so busy. The poor estate agent was flabbergasted. So open for inspections are advertised. You can go along. You have 15 minutes to inspect that house, along with the other 50,000 people that have come to inspect that house. The estate agent goes back to the office and you start your rental application. Everything is very electronic. And this is what's the problem that's come in this week. These electronic applications are not accepting international telephone numbers. Some of them are not accepting international addresses. And the credit points check is impossible for an international to meet. So those are 3 big issues. Previously, what happened is we had a rental application process called One Form. And you could complete your One Form, and then when you went to go and see a house, you would choose that house, it would populate it, it would attach your application, and it would send it to the estate agent. So that was One Form. That's now being replaced by something called Ignite. Ignite, you can't get past page 2 of an application because it doesn't accept your previous address. So if you're still sitting overseas, which most of my clients are, where they're still overseas flying in and we're trying to get a property for them, it won't accept that international address. Even if you are already here and you've got a local address while you're looking for houses, you still have to, on your application form, say where you've lived previously. Just like most other countries, you have to sort of give probably about 5 years worth of addresses. So not being able to put in even your previous address, you can't move forward in the application. So that's Ignite. Ignite, you just can't use it as an international. The other one is To Apply. To Apply, I was excited about it. Actually, it's really easy to use, because the other problem with Ignite is you have to sign up as a what do you call it, like a member of realestate.com.au. So you have to actually subscribe to that site to get into the Ignite, which is a pain. To apply is really nice, very user-friendly, easy to follow. The problem with you apply, again, it's not taking international telephone numbers. It searches the whole globe and can verify your actual address overseas. So that was really nice. But then when it got to the telephone number, it doesn't accept it. And the other, so to apply, Ignite, one form, and Snug is the other one. None of them are accepting international addresses. The other problem that we've got, so here in Australia, we have something called a 100-point credit check. So anybody who's read my book would have seen what the 100-point credit check is. So depending on what you are applying for, that 100 points can be weighted. So for example, if you're applying for a rental property, your employment reference will be weighted as 40 points. Because your employment is important to a rental application, okay? But if you were going to apply for a bank loan, then bank statements might be 50%, 50 points of your 100 points. So it depends what you're applying for as to how much weighting each system has. So how does this affect you on the rental applications? On the to apply rental applications, they've weighted it for you. So they've put it in categories, which looks very nice, but the identification category, which is only 30 points, I think it is, 20 or 30 points. The options it gives you is a passport, tick. An Australian driving license, can't do it. Citizenship certificate, can't do it. And had a few options there, none of which, a Medicare card. Again, internationals don't have that. So you can't get past the 100-point check. There's just not enough options for internationals. So we are working at ways, and I've contacted each of these platforms and I'm working with them to try and find out how we can bypass the system for our internationals in the meantime. To apply is being really helpful, and they are trying to make arrangements and update their platform as quickly as possible to actually accept all these things. My advice in the meantime, I've always said get written references. The problem now, so remember how I explained how an open for inspection works. Everybody's come and had a look. The estate agent goes back to the office. With the new forms, when you put in who your references are, so you might say, okay, my reference is Theo somebody, and here's his email address. One form or Ignite or to apply will actually email that person directly. So the estate agent isn't even looking at applications on day one. She's waiting probably till day 2 when all those automated references have come back. Now we have a saying in Australia, which is first in, best dressed. The first rental application that she gets back with all the references done, that gets shortlisted. Okay, so you have a problem in that you can't put an international reference. You have to have Australian references at the moment for those references that are on your application. An estate agent, if you decide, okay, I don't want to send all those things to the estate agent, I'm going to print it off and take it to the agent, chances are they are not going to process your application. They are not going to phone your references. They're expecting the system to do all that for them. Okay, my suggestion is if you've got overseas references, get written references and upload them in your supporting documents. My second suggestion is do whatever you can to try and find Australian references for the actual forms where you have to use telephone numbers. You need Australian references, whoever that might be. So for people who are coming here already have a job, you want to put the human resources person, you want to put the line manager, you want to put just about anybody you might have met on Zoom already in your new job, but you need to have Australian references for that. The credit points is still a bit of an issue with to apply because we can't get past that option of giving an international license or anything else. The way it knows it is because you give the license number, and license numbers around the world are all very different. So please stay in contact with Personnel Relocations, follow us on social media, and as soon as I've got more updates on that, I will help you to work through that and make sure that your applications are done efficiently. The process, once the estate agent has all the references back, is that they will shortlist only they will shortlist 3 applications, and those are the ones that they present to the landlord. It's then the landlord's decision who gets the property. And that's a question I get asked a lot, is can I guarantee that you will find a rental before you arrive? No, and I would never promise you that, and no relocation company should be promising you that. It's a landlord's decision. As much as we have a relationship with the estate agents, and we can certainly get applications approved and shortlisted. We can get applications shortlisted. It's up to the landlord to approve them, and we have no control over that. So probably we're sitting around 97% of our clients' applications being shortlisted and presented to the landlord, and then it's up to the landlord and of course the other competition that you might have. We work with our clients to help them understand how they can put the best offer forward and how we can perhaps knock off the competition. So we'll work with you through that. So that's applications. Right, Rhiannon, definitely. Sunny, I knew you. Thanks, Rhiannon. And thank you for joining us. That's brilliant. Love it. Let me just refresh that again and see if you've got any questions on that rental application process, or I don't want to sound like it's just doom and gloom at the moment, but I wanted to make you aware of those things, because you can start getting references and upload them as your supporting documents onto a application. And that, to get those written references, you might be needing, well, you will be needing to do that before you leave. Falling over my words tonight. So that's why I wanted to jump on this live tonight, to just make as many people aware of the new changes. And please bear with us. And we're trying to work out how to get around this system. Right, Medicare. So this is for the likes of Rhiannon and anybody else who is entitled to Medicare. So Medicare is the equivalent of the NHS for the UK. It's our government-funded medical healthcare system. There's reciprocal agreements for Medicare with certain countries, and those countries are entitled to Medicare benefits as soon as they land. Now, what used to happen, probably I'm going to say up to about 6 months ago, is that you would have to go into a Medicare office and present yourself and physically apply for your Medicare cards. Once you had been there, taken your number, had your interview, handed over all your paperwork and half your life, you'd get a Medicare card about 2 weeks later. It's all changed, because now they don't want people queuing up at Medicare and everything's going online. Sorry, James, I just saw your comment. We can't tell if it's sunny because the windows are too foggy. I remember those days. Brilliant. Thank you. Back to Medicare. Okay, it's all gone online. Processing times. Do you remember what I said earlier about COVID and everything slowed down? It's very slow. And it's causing an issue because when you arrive in Australia, especially with children, you have to have the children's immunisation records put on something called AIR, which is the Australian Immunisation Register. To get the children onto AIR, you have to see a GP. To see a GP, you have to have your Medicare. And your Medicare at the moment is online and very slow. It's taking my clients up to 6 weeks to get their Medicare cards. Obviously, if you have some sort of emergency, you can go to an emergency. You're going to have to pay up front, and you will later be reimbursed once Medicare has given you your cards and you're on the system. So I wanted to bring your attention to that, because it's something you need to start working on as soon as you arrive. So that's only for countries that have that reciprocal agreement with Medicare, that are entitled to Medicare, that need to worry about that. And just a frequently asked question I have about Medicare is, how do you know if a doctor offers Medicare or not? Medicare, if when you're driving around in Australia, you will see bulk billing, bulk, B-U-L-K, because I know I've got a funny accent, bulk billing. Can't put my British accent on. Bulk, no, it's not happening. Bulk billing is what you'll be looking for. If a GP is bulk billed, that means it's completely covered under Medicare, and you'll be completely covered. There's nothing to pay. All right. If it's a private practice, it just won't say anything on the window. So if you come in here and you are entitled to Medicare, you want to be looking out for bulk billing. Nikki, a few months ago, I rang Medicare and they told me I can't reactivate it until I'm physically in Australia. I still have the card and the numbers. Should I try again now that it's gone online? Give it a go and let me know. Yes, please. Okay, so can't reactivate it till I'm physically in Australia. I wonder why that would be when they're not physically seeing you in the offices anymore. Maybe that was longer than 6 months ago when they were still seeing you in the offices. But yeah, Nikki, give that a go. Try it while it's online. Actually, you know what? It's not going to work because my next tip for today, Nikki, try it. But my next tip for today, and very important that I wanted to pass on to you, you must hold on to your boarding cards. Sounds weird, I know. You need the physical boarding card for Medicare to prove that the day that you arrived in the country. You would think there's some sort of passport control fairies that fly around and tell Medicare that that's the day you arrived, but they need your boarding pass. So please hold on to your boarding pass. I know I throw those away in the airport, but keep it. Apparently you need it. So Nikki, that might hold you back from reapplying if you're not here yet. So I'm not sure. Give it a go. Let me know. Let me just refresh that if there's any questions coming up. And check my to-do list. Have I spoken to you about everything? I've spoken to you about COVID. I've told you how slow everything is at the moment, how tricky it is. Bring your own tests with you. And that's the thing here at the moment is that you can take a home test and self-isolate if you test positive. You don't have to have the official testing done. Okay, you can, but again, and even when you're coming in internationally, you just do a home test. You don't have to go and get a red test done. Right, let me check if there's any more questions here. I think we're good. I think we've established that it's a cold evening in the UK. If there's no more questions, thank you for joining me. It's lovely to see some familiar faces there. I appreciate your support. And please keep following us and I'll keep you updated on all of this. I know I've probably bombarded you with a lot of information there, but it's been a crazy week. And there was just things that I felt people needed to know about and be able to prepare in advance. So please prepare your references in advance. If you're dealing with a human resources manager or a line manager for a job here, ask them who else you might be able to use as references. Obviously, if you're one of our clients, we are references all the time for our clients. So just try and have, if you've got a second and third cousin 5 times removed that's living in Australia, can they be a reference for you? Start making those contacts now because it's probably going to take a little while, I would think. I'm going to say a month or so for them to get those platforms up and running. And I think the problem you also have is that you don't know anymore which estate agent is going to use which platform. So you can't even prepare. Last year you could prepare for one form, 95% of agents were using it. Now that one form's decided they've had enough, all these others are jumping onto the market. So you're not even really sure which platform that agent for the house that you like is going to be using. So please get references, get written references from back home, wherever home might be, and you'll need to upload those as your supporting documents. And obviously, if you're working with us, we'll work through what identification can be used. But keep everything handy. For Medicare, those processing times, again, 6 weeks. Please hold on to your boarding passes as proof of when you arrived. Get your Medicare done straight away. ask for a temporary number. Sometimes the temporary numbers are taking about 2 weeks to come through, but at least you've got a temporary number. Book a GP appointment and get onto the Australian Immunisation Register. I've got more information on that on my website under the resources page. Just scroll down and you can find the AIR information on there. I think that is all. One last check of questions. Doesn't look like there's anything there. I hope I haven't missed anything, but thank you for joining me. I hope you found that helpful. And you have my email address. If you've got any questions, it's info@personnelrelocations.com.au. Feel free to drop me a line. Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.